For this video, we're going to be finding the domain and range for the following graph. When you're finding domain and range, domain are x values, range are y values. When you're looking for this, for the domain, since those are x values, you're going to start with your most left-hand point all the way to your most right-hand point. For range, you're going to start with the lowest point that you see all the way to the highest point that you see. Whenever you write your answer, it will need to be in interval notation. So recall interval notation. If your point is included, you'll use brackets. If it's not included, you'll use parentheses. And if you have infinity, you will use parentheses as well. So a couple things first. For our graph, if it's going up, it's going toward positive infinity on the y-axis. If it's going down, it's going toward negative infinity. If it's going toward the right, that's going toward positive infinity on the x-axis. If it's going left, that's going toward negative infinity on the x-axis. Okay. So for our particular graph, if you see arrows, which we have two of them here, there's two things I want you to write for each arrow. Let's start with this first arrow right here. That arrow is going up, and if it's going up, it's going toward positive infinity on the y-axis. That arrow is also continuing to the left, and if it continues to the left, it goes toward negative infinity on the x-axis. So always write those two pieces of information if it's going up or down or left or right for each arrow that you see. Let's go to our second arrow on the right. That's going up toward positive infinity, and it's also going toward the right, toward positive infinity on the x-axis. That will help us with our domain and range. Okay, domain, let's start there. We are looking for our most left-hand point. Since this graph continues toward the left, that's going toward negative infinity. That is our most left-hand point on the x-axis, comma. Then we need to find our most right-hand point. Okay, again, this graph is going toward the right, toward positive infinity on the x-axis. So our domain is negative infinity to positive infinity. Let's find our range. That's going to be bottom to top, lowest point to highest point. So find the lowest point of your graph. That's going to be right here. That's at -2 on the y-axis. Remember, range are y values. So -2 on the y-axis. If you want to go ahead and label that ordered pair so you can see it's at y equal -2, that's our lowest point. Now that point is included, so you're going to put brackets. Okay. Then we need to go to our highest point. Okay, that's going to be this right here. Our graph is going up toward positive infinity. So -2 to positive infinity. And there's your domain and your range.